bands a day. I was broke, came up with a plan, now I'm the man, there ain't no stopping me. I ran up all these bands over hand and made like 5 bands a day. I was broke, came up with a plan, now I'm the man, there ain't no stopping me. It ain't no stopping me. Got bands, I'ma run it up, it ain't no stopping me. I was broke, came up with a plan, now I'm the man, it ain't no stopping me. Got bands, I'ma run it up, it ain't no stopping me. I done ran up all these bands up in hand and made like 5 bands a day. I was broke, came up with a plan, now I'm the man, there ain't no stopping me. I done ran up all these bands up in hand and made like 5 bands a day. I was broke, came up with a plan, now I'm the man, there ain't no stopping me. It ain't no stopping me. Got bands.
Mr. Zelenskyy.
Mr. President.
Mr. President Trump, you have repeatedly called the deal with Ukraine as a historical one. And as a President of the United States, you make historical decisions in other issues which affect America and other world. So what place in the world history do you want to take? And do you associate yourself with any famous historical figures?
Yeah, I'd say George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. I would say I'm far superior to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Now, you know...
What? What? Far superior to Abraham Lincoln, the person who kept the Union together, the person who freed the slaves? Donald Trump is literally dividing the country. I digress. Two people. But let's continue.
I'm only kidding, right? Because when I
Yeah,
say
I know
that,
you're
the
kidding.
fake news is going to go wild. They're going to say he considers himself to be better than Washington. But you never know. You never know. I don't compare myself to anybody. I'm here to do a job. We've had a great 35 days or whatever it might be, a month, a little more than a month. We've accomplished tremendous amounts. Not only this would be a very great achievement if we could get the war stopped and get them back to normalization. I think that's going to happen. We've had very good talks on both sides, as you know, but I think we've done a very good job, just generally. If you look at all of the things we've done in 30 days, they're saying there's never been a opening for a president.
Credit where credit is due. He has done a lot in the first 30 days. He's barely been in office. Mind you, he took office January 21st of this year. He, in his second term, has signed more executive orders than any president in history. So Donald Trump, he is getting active. Credit where credit is due. And hate him or love him, some of those policies are beneficial. All right. So we got to give credit where credit is due.
First month. There's never been a first month like we've had. And this is one of the very important things. This, to me, is one of the most important things because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak. And I don't want to have that. You know, think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started. If I were president, this would have never started.
Shout out to Joel Sim. What's going on, brother? Joel Sim says Trump is a G. Yeah, man. He's a gangster, for real. He be on some G shit. The only thing about it is, like I said, some of his policies are good. Some of his policies are bad. Hate him or love him, he's going to be him. He's very unpredictable. Let me break this down, though, what he's saying right now. He's saying, hey, if I was in office, this never would have happened. I'm trying to end the war. That's what he's verbalizing. I want to make sure I point this out. When he's saying, I want to end the war, right now he understands the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. If you pay attention to a lot of the rhetoric coming from the Trump camp, as well as Elon Musk, you're going to see that they're talking a lot about South Africa. They're talking about the land being given back, the black people taking the land in South Africa. They're talking about putting sanctions on South Africa. Right now, they're trying to drive a wedge between Russia and China. That's why when he says, hey, we need to stop this war, we need peace in Ukraine, you're threatening World War III, and we're going to get into this. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but we're going to get into it tonight. When he says, hey, you're threatening World War III, the reason is he understands that he's at war with the BRICS nations as a whole. And while Russia and China are unified, that is very bad for the West. That is very bad for Europe. Okay? The only good thing from the Western perspective, from America, Great Britain, France, the NATO perspective, is Russia is still a white country. It's still a European country. Russia is in Europe. And they still, whether you like it or not, that European white supremacy, that is a unifier. But when Trump is when Russia is at war with the West and Russia and China are together, that is a threat. That is a legitimate threat to the whole Western America's empire, for one, but the whole Western first philosophy, the petrodollar, the BRICS nations is a threat to that. So what Donald Trump is trying to do right now is he's trying to drive a wedge between Russia and China by pushing for peace in the Ukraine. All right, I just want to give y'all some context with that. But let's go back into this interview.
Mr. President, will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing.
President Zelenskyy, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side, that the President Trump is on your side at this moment?
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't. But,
now hold on. Wait right there. What did he say? That's a stupid question. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. So whose side is he on? All right. Now this is why Donald Trump is playing a real thin line. And as we're listening to this, I want you to put yourself in the foot or the thought process, the mindset of Vladimir Putin. Because mind you, there are Russian analysts. There are people in Russia, KGB analysts, who are watching this interview just like we are, and they're trying to dissect it. They're trying to see, okay, how can we use this to our interest? What if this is propaganda for the Western people, and what if this is signaling to us? Let me think about his actions. Do his actions match his words here? He's saying he is still a friend and a supporter of Zelenskyy, but then he's saying we need peace, and we're going to see later in this interview how contentious it gets. So as you're watching this, I want you to put yourself in the mindset of Vladimir Putin. Think about what he thinks, what he can trust. All right, put yourself in the mind of the enemy as we're watching this.
Side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that the United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, with really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President, or when, he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall. I think.
We've had very, very good talks.
Mr. President, do you think your legacy will go to help military aid to Ukraine?
President Zelenskyy just said that there'll be no compromises with Vladimir Putin. I just wanted to ask both of you, firstly, are there compromises that you think that President Zelenskyy is going to have to make? President Zelenskyy, is there anything that you might be thinking that you may be able to offer or bring to the table, for example, elections? Thank you.
I think you're going to have to always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises, but hopefully they won't be as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. That's all we can do. I'm here as an arbitrator.
All right, but as he goes into his answer here, I want to give you guys an opportunity. What compromises do you think Ukraine would have to make if a peace deal was to occur? What compromises would Zelenskyy and the Ukraine, what would they have to give up in order for Russia to accept peace in Ukraine? That's one question. Another question is, who do you think right now today is winning this war? Russia or the Ukraine? Be sure to leave that in the chat. And if you're enjoying tonight's live, be sure to hit the thumbs up button to boost us in the algorithm. That being said, let's continue.
Is a mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile. To put it mildly, they've been very hostile. This has been a vicious war. This has been a vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out, and as I've said many times, we were talking about it with Pete, many times the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking about, generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land. It's great farmland, but there's very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So all I can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars? And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question.
And I want to pause it here because I want to point out the fact that Donald Trump is very concerned with his legacy. Right now, there's a Republican by the name of Oglethorpe. He's pushing to get Donald Trump a third term by amending the Constitution to allow third terms. That's likely to go nowhere. So since that's likely to go nowhere, Donald Trump right now is a lame duck president. And he knows that after this is it. His legacy, not only as a businessman, not only as a president, his legacy will be affected by what he does in this term. So he is deadly serious about the way he will be remembered in history. And right now, in his first term, he was proud to say, hey, I started new wars. I didn't start any new wars. And I defeated ISIS. All right. He didn't get us out of Afghanistan, but he started moving us in that direction. But now his second term, there's a lot of wars going on. We've got Ukraine and we've got Iran or Israel taking over Syria right now. And I think Donald Trump's main focus is going to be pivoting to the Middle East. But let's get back into this interview.
I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and we won it by a lot, that was a mandate. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. The districts, you look at the areas of red, take a look at a map. This was a big mandate, and this was one of the things I said, we're going to get this thing settled.
Right.
If we didn't win, I think this would have, this could have very well ended up in a third world war, and that would not have been a good situation. What was your second question?
And my second question for President Zelensky, why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest, why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah.
This guy's got some jokes. Why don't you wear a suit? Who gives it?
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting the dignity of this office.
See, now this is why I wanted to play it starting before this point, because this is where things start to go south. Up to this point, hey, Donald Trump, Zelensky, they're saying, do you support it? Yeah, I continue to support Zelensky. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. Up until this point, everything between Zelensky and Donald Trump was relatively peaceful. They were on the same page up until this point, and this is where things start to go south. When the guy starts cracking jokes about, oh, you don't wear suits, it's disrespectful. Up until this point, everything was peaceful. I wanted to point that out. Now let's continue.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something
like yours. Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. Yeah. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday that you have.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine, yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much, because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement, because we needed what they had, and we're treating, you know, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But, you know, sure, the answer is yes, but hopefully we won't have to send much, because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean you provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet, because I want to get the deal done. You know, you fall into the same trap like everybody else. A million times you say it over and over. I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stopped shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. You know, we have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back. When this deal ends, I really believe this deal is going to be over.
And I think that's a good thing. Yay! I think that's a good thing. We're going to need peace. And I'm glad, like he said, he did make a point when he said this election was vital. This election was very important because the Democrats weren't pushing for peace, especially not in Ukraine. Especially not in Ukraine. As soon as Donald Trump got elected, well, Joe Biden started pushing for ceasefire in Israel. Do y'all remember that? The Democrats have been the warmongers, party of the warmongers. At least with Donald Trump, he's vocalizing. He's saying, "Hey, we need to end these wars." And if I was there, it never would have happened. That's a step in the right direction. Giving credit where credit is due.
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you. You hosted Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Well, I love this guy. Who are you with?
One American News, sir.
Well, that's why I like him. One American News does a great job. I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement, because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were stone cold broke. And then under Biden, they became rich as hell. They went from no money to $300 billion in a period of 4 years. And they gave a lot of that money away, and you see what happened. And that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve. But
Uh-oh. Catch that. Catch that. Hey, that's a real mess over there in Iran. They're not broke anymore. They got a lot of money, and that's a problem we're looking to solve. Hey, in Ukraine, we want peace. Let's get a deal done. Is he looking for peace with Iran? Mind you, Obama already had a peace deal with Iran. Donald Trump, in his first term, got into office and tore it up. Do you think Donald Trump is looking for peace with Iran, who he blames for the assassination attempts? Go back and look it up. I got a video on that too. Donald Trump blames Iran for the assassination attempts. All right.
But, no, I appreciate your question very much. It's just, I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer, yes, if I can answer,
Please,
sorry,
go ahead.
please.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other. But you know what? I think he's dressed. I think he's dressed
I like
beautifully.
this guy. I don't know
I think
him.
he's dressed beautifully.
So I have more serious things than answer on such
Yes,
questions.
sure, that's a
I will
good-
answer on more serious
good
questions if I
statement.
can.
Yes.
Yeah. So please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will never work because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken his own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke to me.
No, you were the president.
He
You were
never
the
broke-
president
he
during.
never broke to me.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods. He had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy format. The France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia, and he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong.
We got to pause it here. We got to pause it here because this is where things get juicy. Check it out, guys. Here's the difference. Zelenskyy already turned down the opportunity. Zelenskyy is in a heck of a pickle right now. You got to understand, he already had a peace deal in 2022, which he turned down thanks to Boris Johnson. All right. The problem is Zelenskyy is putting all of his trust and faith in the United States and the Western allies, not understanding that the United States is a pack of liars. What? The thing about it is we've got one president, Joe Biden, who can say one thing. 4 years later, you get a new president, Donald Trump, who's saying something totally different. The U.S. is fickle. 1 year you got a president, you got a Republican. The next year you got a Democrat. They can have very opposite views. And if you put all your eggs in the basket of the United States and you trust them to hear what Zelenskyy is basically saying is security guarantees, he's saying, I want to be a NATO member. Right now, he's a de facto NATO member because we're defending them, sending hundreds of billions of dollars in military aid as if they're a NATO member. So in reality, they're a de facto, in reality, a NATO member. But de jure, legally speaking, they're not a NATO member. Zelensky's like, I want to be a formal NATO member. We need some security guarantees. All right, security. And Russia will never accept that. Russia will never accept NATO on its border in the form of Ukraine because it's been invaded via Ukraine too many times. All right. So this is where things get juicy. Sorry to keep pausing it, guys. I just got to throw my 2 cents every once in a while. I know that's why y'all love me. But by the way, be sure to hit the thumbs up button to support the channel. Let's get back into it.
Strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes, why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States and the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial. This is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. It's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts. I think maybe with your team also. I don't know, but with all the Europeans, in media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President, under these circumstances...
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to say this question.
This is the rule. This is the rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay. This is the rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billion, we can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
Question. How are you going to make Russia, a nuclear armed power, pay Ukraine, a non-nuclear armed power, hundreds of millions of dollars in restitution? How? How do you do that? I'll leave that one to you.
President Trump, under these circumstances, do you envision a trilateral summit with Putin and President Zelenskyy?
Wait 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and Ukraine or on the Ukraine side.
No, I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly.
Look at Zelensky sweating. Look at Zelensky sweating. You see this? My man is scared. Uh-oh, he's in the middle. He's not on my side. See, at the beginning of this discussion, oh yeah, he's supporting Ukraine. Donald Trump, yeah, I continue to support Ukraine. I wouldn't be here if I don't support Ukraine. The one the one journalist asked, hey, why don't you wear a suit? And from that point, it just starts going down. Oh yeah, now I'm in the middle. What? We need security guarantees. Now things starting to, uh-oh. And look at Zelensky sweating here when Donald Trump is like, yeah, I was with you, but now the more you keep talking, nah, I'm in the middle. I want peace. And I don't know about all that security. Let's just keep watching.
I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country.
Yeah.
Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. As you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
The Baltics, they got a lot of, it's a tough neighborhood too, but we're committed. We're going to be very committed, and we're committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up more than they have. And I want to see them equalize, because they are in for far less than we're in, and they should be at least equal. You understand that?
One thing I will say about Trump, though, that I like about him is the fact that he puts America first. He's like shout out to Joel Sim. Joel Sim says Trump is a G. I agree with Joel. Joel is like, look, Trump doesn't mind going to war. Trump doesn't mind getting busy and all of that. But he's like, I'm not just going to be paying for all of this to help you guys. This isn't charity. Europeans, y'all got to start putting money to the table, on the table as well. We have an ocean here protecting us. We've got nukes in an ocean protecting us. We're fine. Why are we putting the bill? Why are we the main ones giving all this money to Ukraine? Where the Europeans at? I like that. And he's like, hey, and matter of fact, we're paying, y'all need to pay us for protection looking at the Baltic states. Yeah, Poland, y'all been paying up. Okay, I rock with Poland. Baltic states, y'all not paying so much? I don't know.
Why is the United States, we have an ocean in between. Why is the United States in for so much more money and other things as Europe? With that being said, and as you said, they've also been obviously very helpful. But we have put in far more than they have. And I think they should equalize.
Mr. President,
please, go ahead.
About the agreement against
Zelensky looks so scared.
Between the first time that Secretary Bessent gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing.
We made a deal. So
What was the
I'm just,
deciding factor?
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed.
Mr. President,
I didn't think we were going to make a deal. And We ended up making the deal, so that changed.
Mr. President, what and how do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelenskyy and Putin?
I don't know,
under
but
these
well, they
circumstances?
don't like each other, I can tell you that. They do not like each other. This is not a love match, and it's unfortunate. That's why you're in this situation. The United States should not have allowed this to happen, okay? The United States, run by a man that didn't know much, I'm going to be very nice, run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars. My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of, I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Sorry, just a second. About any negotiation.
All right, guys, this is where things start getting juicy. Hit the thumbs up button.
And I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, modern Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the anyway will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending line and they have real life and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable.
Who thinks that that Vladimir Putin would invade NATO via the Baltic states and Poland if Ukraine was to fall? Let's start there. Who thinks, because Vladimir Putin never said he was interested in invading Poland or the Baltics. He's explicitly said he is not interested in doing that. But they keep pumping this, if not for Ukraine, we have to support Ukraine because if Ukraine falls, Russia will invade Poland and the Baltics. Despite him saying, I have no interest in doing that. Then they say, Russia is incompetent. Russia can't even take Ukraine. So which one is it? Is Russia incompetent and they're not even able to take Ukraine? Or is Russia the next Germany and about to go and conquer all of Europe? It can't be both.
For them, because they've been in the USSR, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not, your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kyiv or Odessa, which is known to be at the Riviera or Black Sea?
It was my question.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. There are a lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No.
And a lot of things have
Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive and people work and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online, but we live. Ukraine is fighting and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. He lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything. Yes. Sure.
Mr. President, one more. I mentioned Poland.
Please, go ahead.
When did you last speak with President Putin, and what did he say that?
A couple of days ago.
And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good, and I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. You know, Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I do. My whole life, that's what I do, is make deals. And I'm in the middle of a mess, because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claimed repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on its behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I. So was Marco. And we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, we have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of those, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country.
Marco Rubio, by the way, I would not be surprised if he runs for president in 2028. So be on the lookout. J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, these are two heavyweight Republicans. And Donald Trump right now has to start thinking. It's a little early. He's in his second term, at his first year of his second term. So he has some years, some time. But the Republican Party is already, don't make any mistake about it. The Republicans and the Democrats are already thinking about 2028. Donald Trump's a lame duck president. Who will be his replacement? I would not be surprised. And I'm going to remember this, mark this video, mark this live. Because in 4 years, we're going to be revisiting this same conversation. And I want to say, hey, I knew it. J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio both running for president in 2028. I would not be surprised to see it. All right?
Real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made at Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one, that what unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
Mr. President.
It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday.
Now you see that? As soon as Marco Rubio's talked, Donald Trump, they were about to go back to Donald Trump, but J.D. Vance was like, nope, I gotta say something. I gotta jump in here. This is politics. Make no mistake about it. There's a reason these people are in the room together. All right. And J.D. Vance didn't want to be shown up. Oh, Marco Rubio's talking, then it goes back to Trump, and I'm just sitting here. No. J.D. Vance has to say something, because this interview, this conversation is going to go down in the history books.
Yesterday, and I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the President's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country, and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President, on the deal, is there any other oil and gas
A little bit. But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world, by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No, we don't need that.
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am. I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about, so we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian
They'll be
forces?
protected. The
European
agreement
forces?
will protect them.
US
The
forces?
agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement. You know?
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots?
I just told you, I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why.
You know, they ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions. Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings, I don't think they're going to survive.
Uh-oh, shots fired. By the way, I want to make this point. As an American citizen, Russia is much more trustworthy than America. I'm just saying. Am I alone in thinking this way? Just looking at history, looking at all the treaties that America has broken, looking at the way that America has done Libya, the way that we've done Syria, the way that we've done Iraq, the way that we did the Native Americans going back kind of far, but all of the treaties that America has ever signed on to, America is not very trustworthy. Let me just say that.
Let's go. Please go.
Since I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way.
Right.
I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way, so that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014 and 2015.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was,
he
I
killed.
was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly
but-
right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people are been dying.
That's the point. The situation has been the same. They try to act like this is a new phenomenon because in 2020, that's when, not in 2020, 2022, excuse me, Russia reinvaded trying to take Kiev, right? But this situation started back in 2014, and it's just, people don't like to acknowledge the 2014 beginning.
On the contact line, nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversations, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it in.
Uh-oh, things just went south. Mind you, and I want to play a clip here. I'm going to shift focus for a second here, because this is where things get really spicy, and this is exactly where I wanted to pause it. We only have 6 minutes left in this video of this interview, not the live. I've got some more things I want to talk about here, but we've got 6 minutes left in this in this video that we're reviewing with JD Vance, Donald Trump, and Vladimir Zelenskyy. And this is where things get really spicy because JD Vance is starting to get active. See, Zelenskyy didn't say anything disrespectful to Trump. Mind you, Donald Trump has been saying things that Zelenskyy obviously doesn't agree with. We see his facial expressions, we see him touching his face. We see Zelenskyy isn't happy with Donald Trump, but he shows respect by not saying anything about it. Like, all right, I don't agree with him saying, oh, he's not on our side. He's distancing himself from us. He's saying he's in the middle. He's not being very clear about, he's saying he wants this ceasefire, but he's not talking about the security guarantees. We see Zelensky's already uncomfortable, but he's not saying anything to Donald Trump. But when JD Vance starts talking, he's like, hey, you're not the president. Hey, little man. Vice president. Hey, little man. You talking like you know something. They've invaded our country. We've been fighting these people for a decade now. Nearly a decade now. Seriously, over a decade. Over 10 years. This started back in 2014. And you telling us? You trying to lecture me? This is the energy that Zelenskyy has. But JD Vance makes a good point, and I wanted to play this since he made it. JD Vance says, hey, you guys are facing a man shortage problem. Y'all are dying. You don't have enough people. We need to end this war. You don't have enough people. You have a man shortage problem. And this is something that doesn't get enough conversation, and not a lot of people have pointed this out, that Ukraine is actively kidnapping people in order to throw them in the military. And I wanted to play a couple videos just to show you guys how the Ukrainians feel on the ground. Y'all check this out.
Как твоя фамилия? Да, можно мне почесать? Свою футболку почешу. Сними наручники.
So take off the handcuffs. I'm a boxer. Am I a boxer or a murderer? Take off the handcuffs. I'm not a murderer. You handle me like a murderer. I'm like a murderer in here. Shame. And you're wearing body armor. I'm a citizen in handcuffs. You are sending me to war so that I protect your family? Why should I care about you? You scumbag. I hope you die miserably. And I won't fight. I'll just die here. Understood? Because I don't need to defend. Defend who? Your family? I don't care about you. Are you loyal to Ukraine? Loyal to Ukraine? You're a Russian. You're a Russian. Come, put me in here. We'll move me in here. Come with me, guys. This looks like a teenager. How old do you think this guy is? Do you see this? Do you see this kid? How old do you think this kid is? Not only that, let me show you another one. Check this out. Sorry if y'all hear my son crying in the background. He's getting tired. My wife should have him in bed soon. Look at the men in military uniform. There's endless videos right now going on showing. Hold on, let me come on screen. There are so many videos going viral online showing these Ukrainian teenagers, these kids getting kidnapped. And you can see that the people kidnapping them are in full military gear. Like this is the military. They're kidnapping people to go fight in the war. Forget a draft. I've heard of a draft. They're straight kidnapped. They pull up on you on the side of the street and throw you in a car. So that's what he's referring to, what JD Vance is referring to when he says you have a man shortage problem. All right, guys, we only have roughly 10 minutes left in this video, so hit the thumbs up button. And if you've been rocking with me this far in the video, salute. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me, guys. I really do. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Let's finish this video out, and then we'll close out.
We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to. I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
All right, now this is the part that's gone viral. Oh, you came into the office and you've been so disrespectful. But tonight on this live, we've seen almost the entire interview. All right, I skipped the intro, but we've seen a good 40 minutes of this interview thus far. Zelenskyy has not been disrespectful. Let's be fair. I mean, he doesn't agree with everything Trump is saying, but JD Vance and Zelenskyy are getting into it up until this point. But Zelenskyy hasn't really said anything about Donald Trump or America's stance here up until this point. But this is the part that's gone viral. And now everyone looks at this clip. Oh, Zelenskyy came into America and he was so disrespectful. But if you sit and take the time to watch the full interview, Zelenskyy hasn't really been disrespectful. Zelenskyy is in a terrible position, though, because he trusted America. He should have been signed the peace deal. He said he signed the peace deal in 2019. At that time, Donald Trump was president. And he says that Putin didn't respect the peace deal signed in 2019. Hey, that's what, according to Zelensky, right? And Trump didn't deny it. But yet they're saying, oh, well, you need to sign another peace deal. Zelensky hasn't really been disrespectful. I agree with Trump on the fact that we need a peace deal. I agree with Trump that this war should have never happened, and I'm tired of sending my tax dollars to the Ukraine. So I'm on Trump's side on this one. But as far as the viral meme, oh, Zelensky was so disrespectful, it's cap. I mean, anyone who's been rocking with me this far into the video has seen, just like I've seen, he wasn't being disrespectful.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You
Don't-
will not
you
have
gotta-
a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
And this is where things start going downhill. Mind you, up until this point, the journalist is asking him, hey, why don't you wear a suit? They've been disrespecting Zelensky. Zelensky's been kind of sitting there taking it. Up until the point where J.D. Vance and Zelensky got into it, even Donald Trump wasn't being that disrespectful towards Zelensky. It was a little, back and forth. They weren't even saying anything disrespectful. It wasn't really even a disagreement up until this point. But once Zelensky said that in the last few minutes of this show, hey.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's exactly
Remember
what
this.
you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I was
You don't
in
have
it.
the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think
You're
you-
gambling with World War III.
what do you think
You're
about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please.
This is a media spin at this point. J.D. Vance, if most people, like I say, most people don't take the time to actually watch the full interview. They'll take like 2 minutes of the end of the interview and think that that was the vibe of the whole meeting. That wasn't the vibe of the whole meeting. This was the media. Someone probably told him, hey, Jay, now's the time. Go get him. Hey, 5 minutes left. Go get him. 5 minutes. Someone probably tapped him and said, hey, 5 minutes. You've got a clock. How long is this meeting? This is an hour meeting? Okay. Let's wait until the end because we don't want to have this confrontation at the beginning. But at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day, the strategy going into this meeting was likely, okay, we're going to use this as an opportunity to expose Zelensky. We're pushing for a peace deal. And the best way we can do that is to signal to Putin, hey, we're serious about this peace deal. Zelensky's the only problem, and we don't even like Zelensky. What do you want, Putin? You want elections in Ukraine? We can get Zelensky out of here. We don't even like Zelensky. They're really setting Zelensky up for failure. And if you've seen the whole interview, if you've been rocking with me this long in the video, you've seen the entire interaction. So you can see Zelensky wasn't really being disrespectful. It's like when someone gets loud to try to make a scene and hey, why are you hitting me? Why are you hitting me? It's like, dude, I didn't hit you. What are you talking about? Yeah, you're hitting me. Stop hitting me. Like, I'm not hitting you. What's the problem? This whole thing was classic misdirection. But this is the important part. So let me stop pausing it. Sorry about that, guys. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button if y'all enjoying the content.
You think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank-
president, $350 billion.
You
We
voted
gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West
If
Point?
you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak-
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times
that there,
thank you
accept
to
that,
American people.
accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're
I
saying
said-
you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a
with
ceasefire.
guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
it doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what
That
what
wasn't
this
with me.
means. It
That was with
wasn't
a
you.
guy named Biden who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your-
with,
this
that
is
was with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me.
See, that's the problem. Zelensky's saying this is your president because Zelensky is thinking the United States is just has any type of consistency, which it doesn't. The United States, you're making a deal with Trump, and in the 2028 you could have a Democrat president, and we could be relitigating this entire situation. The United States. Ask Libya what happens when you trust the United States. Ask Gaddafi. Gaddafi, when they said, oh, all you have to do is get rid of your weapons of mass destruction. So Gaddafi said, okay, I'll give up my weapons. Only for the United States to then instigate a civil war and get them up out of there. The United States is fickle. And Zelensky is saying, oh, well, we were working with your president. You trusted Joe Biden. Hey, man, you trusted a losing side. You put yourself and your country in a heck of a pickle.
That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make, because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do we do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you
but
saying?
what if
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a...
They respect Trump, but Trump is going to be out of there in 2028. Oh, man.
Not with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest.
Let's be real. Zelensky has no reason to be thankful. The United States has screwed Zelensky over so many times. Zelensky should have signed a peace deal with back in 2022 when he had the chance. He had the chance. And Boris Johnson went and told him not to. They told him, oh, we're going to have your back. We'll send you weapons. Then a new administration comes and says, oh, you're not grateful. All your people are dying. Your cities are destroyed. But we gave you weapons. You should be grateful. Oh, man. Anyone who trusts America, oh, my goodness. The countries abroad that like are still dumb enough to trust America. Just got to do your homework, man.
That's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that.
All right, so that's the end of that interview. But since then, some new developments have occurred. And before we close out the live, I want to bring up the point that even in this meeting, Donald Trump already voiced the fact that Poland is going to go into the Ukraine. France is going to go into the Ukraine. They're putting troops on the ground. This war, Donald Trump saying, oh yeah, I want peace. But then if you look at the actions of the NATO members who he says that he supports, they're ramping up the war, not ramping down. They're even calling for ceasefire on Fox News. Have y'all seen this? Y'all check this out. They're calling not ceasefire. They're calling for a no-fly zone. I said ceasefire. I wish they would call for a ceasefire. They're calling for a no-fly zone on Fox News. This is the Republican Party, the MAGA bros. These are the MAGA bros calling for a no-fly zone. Check this out.
So all the talk, General, this afternoon has been this appeal that Zelensky has made to NATO to commit to a no-fly zone over Ukraine, which would basically, I use the color blue because NATO is known as the Blue Force, and that would basically make all of this an area, I guess, north of Crimea, where Russian planes could not fly. Here's what Jens Stoltenberg, the NATO Secretary General, said about it. We are not part of this conflict, and we have a responsibility to ensure it does not escalate and spread beyond Ukraine. We understand the desperation, but we also believe that if we did that, a no-fly zone, we would end up with something that could lead to a full-fledged war in Europe involving much more countries and much more suffering. But General, you say...
Hold on, I want to pause that. Because listen to what the general is saying. The general, Donald Trump's general. We're talking about General Keith Kellogg, who Trump just named the special envoy for the Ukraine and Russia. This is coming from Fox News. General Keith Kellogg, who Trump just named special envoy for Ukraine and Russia, called for the U.S. to impose a no-fly zone in Ukraine. Whereas the NATO Secretary General says that if they did do a no-fly zone, we'd likely end up with a full-fledged war in Europe, World War III, involving much more countries and much more suffering. Poland and France are already entering the Ukraine. They've already announced their plans to enter the Ukraine. So while Donald Trump and Zelensky and J.D. Vance are putting on this photo op in the Oval Office, talking about we want a peace deal, the reality on the ground is you just signed a deal with Zelensky for the minerals in Ukraine for further support. So you're promising Zelensky more support in exchange for his minerals, but then you've got a photo op for the American people as if you're trying to end the war. It's called classic doublespeak. And shout out to Alexa Hawkins. Thanks for joining us tonight. Alexa Hawkins says, I don't think he assumes the U.S. is consistent over presidents. I think he is being railroaded beyond the facts. Yeah, I'd agree with that. He keeps trying to say that the deal he made was with Trump's presidency. Yeah, it was in 2019. I'm not sure when you joined, but he was saying that he signed a deal in 2019, a ceasefire deal in 2019. Mind you, this war started back in 2014 in the Donbass region in Crimea. That's a story in and of itself. But it started back in 2014. He said that he got a ceasefire in 2019, and in 2022, Russia broke the ceasefire, as well as breaking the ceasefire by not exchanging hostages. Back to Alexa Hawkins, she says, and this is just performance on Vance's part. Oh yeah, this is classic performance and ratings. And the fact that, I'm not sure when you joined in, earlier in the meeting, Marco Rubio was the first one to speak. And Marco Rubio has his eye out to run for president in 2028. Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance both of them will likely run for president in 2028, as Donald Trump is a lame duck president. So they were both, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, this was a big political showcase here. But I do want to point out the fact that right now, the war in Ukraine, despite these photo ops in the Oval Office, the Ukraine war is only growing. We've got France and Poland announcing that they are going to put troops on the ground. They're going to peacekeep in the Ukraine. So they're putting their troops in the Ukraine. And now the Republicans under General Keith Kellogg is calling for a no-fly zone in the Ukraine. So let's finish out this clip.
Europe involving much more countries and much more suffering. But General, you say that there is a way to do it. How?
Well, I think there is. And I think we're walking into Act 2 of a Greek tragedy. And that Act 2 will start with the Russians going into the major built-up areas, primarily Kyiv, a city of 3 million. And you're going to see street-to-street fighting. You're going to see a lot of casualties out there, civilian casualties. And I think when you start seeing those visions of those people dying, the civilians, I think the world's going to say, I'm tired of this. Enough, stop. And I think what the United States could do is not get NATO involved, but they can go to the UN. And they could say under Articles 27 and 52, wait a second, there's a way to do this. Have a UN no-fly zone, not a NATO no-fly zone where Article 5 doesn't apply.
And who would enforce that?
Well, the UN. Well, we would probably involve it under UN cover. But under both of those articles, all you need is 9 of the 15 votes of the UN Security Council to get it moving. And according to Article 52, wow, that's where Article 52 comes in. Because Article 50 is very specific. Article 52 says if you're part of a conflicted party, you're part of it, you are supposed to, by UN rules, abstain. So, and if we could get an interlocutor like Macron to pick up the phone and call Putin and call maybe President Xi and say, hey, look, we want you both to abstain. Look, Putin is not winning this fight. Putin is losing this fight. And he would look at ways to say, well, where's my off-ramp? And my off-ramp is, with all this economic problems I've got, there may be a way to do it. And if the United Nations comes into the world body and says this is going to be a UN no-fly zone, then we honor what Zelenskyy has wanted. We keep NATO out of the fight. Now, is this high risk? Of course it is. Is it a perfect plan? No, it's not. No plans are perfect. But there's a way to do it, and we should at least explore it.
So the point there is NATO has already rejected the no-fly zone. But Donald Trump's administration under General Kellogg is looking for a way around it. That's why the Fox News is recommending they go through the UN. So despite the fact that they're trying to act as if the war is over, no, not yet. Not yet. But make no mistake about it, I do believe that Donald Trump is genuine in his desire for peace with Russia, not because he's a big fan of Zelenskyy in the Ukraine, but because he understands the threat of the BRICS nations. He understands that Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are a legitimate threat to the U.S. hegemony, the U.S. petrodollar. The U.S. as a superpower is under threat by the BRICS nations' unity. And this is a divide and conquer tactic. Donald Trump is trying to drive a wedge in between Russia and China because he knows if he doesn't, we're in big trouble. And one thing he said in this meeting that I would agree with was this election was a watershed moment. I have serious concerns of what would be. Now, Donald Trump, hate him or love him, I don't agree with all of his policies, and maybe I'll make a whole nother video of all the policies that he's instituted that I don't like. But his stance on the Ukraine is something I do like, because the Democrats are the party of warmongers. They have no problem with Israel genociding Gaza, Palestinians. To be fair, neither do the Republicans. Only the Democrats are going to fund Israel and the Ukraine. With Donald Trump, we just got to worry about Israel and Iran. But that's a story for another day. Hey guys, if you made it this far in the video, salute! I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. That's going to be it for tonight's live. I'm going to try to start changing up my release pattern here in the coming days. What I'm going to try to do is promise you guys one video, one short, and one live every weekday. All right, so this is the new commitment I'm working on. I've got some new things I'm working on here on the channel, so if you want to support us, just hit the thumbs up button because it's free. If you have a couple dollars to spend, hit the links in the description. I'm a new author. You can buy my book, The Chronicles of Big Mistake, or you can drop something on the GoFundMe. Right now, I'm saving to go back to law school. Right now, more than ever, we need more black lawyers. I'm saving to go back to law school and finish up what I started once before. All right. So if y'all support the channel, if y'all think we need more black lawyers and y'all support the vision, hit the links in the description. I appreciate you all for rocking with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Like 5 bands a day. I was broke, came up with a plan. Now I'm the man, that ain't no stopping me. I ran up all these bands up and hand made like 5 bands a day. I was broke, came up with a plan. Now I'm the man, that ain't no stopping me. It ain't no stopping me. Got bands, I'ma run it up. It ain't no stopping me. I was broke, came up with a plan. Now I'm the man, it ain't no stopping me. Got bands, I'ma run it up. It ain't no stopping me. I done ran up all these bands up and hand made like 5 bands a day. I was broke, came